So everyone, my name is Eric Gutierrez. This is first time here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Today's video we're talking about base gaskets. Brightening up, you can see it's all dirty here. The oil, how it looks like on the chrome plating here. So you can see more of that base gasket right there. You can see how it's all seeping out of it. You can see here more evidence of that. You see the little oil puddle? All that's coming from the base gasket from my rear cylinder. And it's be coming up from right underneath there from the base gasket. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to replace everything, including basically a head rebuild. So if you're gonna be doing this, keep in mind you're gonna be taking everything off. So in terms of the gaskets we're gonna be using today, as we rebuild our heads, are from Cosmic Gaskets. I guess they're from NASCAR. You know, they're always doing left turns. You know, JK. Here's a part number if you guys want it. If not, I am going to be sending down a link in the description below. Here's where it comes with some instructions on the head torque sequence. And so today we're going to be using our shop manual. As always, be using our manual. Alright, as you can see now, I removed my exhaust and intake as well as my battery. Got it hooked up and charged. Then you want to remove this bolt right here. And this one right here that goes onto the other side like a cross bolt. Then once you're right here, you want to disconnect. As you saw here, I disconnected it from the fuel tank. From here you can just pretty much set to the side. Then with the dashboard to the side, now you want to just disconnect this little vent tube. You can see here my fingers at right there and right here. Then you want to come down here, and as you can see here, this is your fuel line. Essentially you want to push the sleeve up and push the boot down just like that. There may be some fuel, but not too bad. So I'm gonna do my little trick here. I added some locking pliers here, needle nose. On this side, to remove it, I could just focus it on one side, put my finger on it. You act like as a plunge for the other side. On the back of a horn, we're gonna come over here. We're gonna see this part right here. These little prongs are gonna be from your horn. All you wanna do is simply just snap them out. Once everything's removed from here, this unit should come out as a whole. Alright, so the next thing we're doing now is just basically backing out the tension on our throttle cables. Once they're backed out, then we'll be able to remove the throttle cables from the throttle body itself. And from there, we're going to be able to disconnect all these connections here. So be sure to take a picture. Alright, so now you removed all these little sensors out of the way, as well as these throttle cables out of the way. Now we're going to be able to remove those little two bolts over there from the intake manifold. Alright, now on this side, you're going to want to be removing these two little bolts as well from the other side. See here, I removed our fuel line already, and I removed our sensor already. So pretty much these two bolts and just come out. Alright, so now we're going to be removing our rocker box, as you can see here, for the rear cylinder. Just simply with a screwdriver, you just want to pry this thing out. Just basically a hose of wires internals inside. Get this. Basically what I'm going to do to allow more clearance is just remove these lines out of the way. Might as well get this one too out of the way. Now with that out of the way, now you can see here, now we have access to all 6 of our bolts. Alright, you see here I got some ARP bolts over here, some 12-point bolts over here, marked the OG ones. They're not the same, but I mean, who cares? Like these you won't be able to see them, but those you will, you know what I mean? So I just swap them out just for aesthetics. So basically when you do this, you just want to do a cross pattern such as this. That way when you do this cross pattern, it loosens evenly. Alright, so once we got all the bolts out, then we can just easily just remove it out. Just like that. So now you're going to want to put your bike in the highest gear. So with the 5-speed, 5th gear, with 6-speed, put it in 6th gear. Basically you can see here how my screwdriver goes all the way down. That means the piston's currently at bottom dead center. You want the piston to be top dead center to release the pressure off the valves on the right side. Now it's on top dead center. Now you can see my screwdriver. So you can see here now it's a top dead center. Alright, then you want to come on this side, and basically to remove the retainers, you grab a screwdriver, pap this bad chicken out. Just like that. Then you want to push up on your push rod tubes like this, expose them just like that. Alright, so now that you're here, you want to make sure you can spin your push rods here. You can see here, I mean you can't really see it because it's kind of, you know, you want to make sure that you can spin the push rods evenly, so that way there's no tension on your push rods. Then you're going to want to remove your rocker arm plate, which is going to be these bolts right here, these two in between the other side, those 2 bolts right there. And basically what you want to do is remove them little by little, cross pattern, like 1/8 of a turn or 1/4 of a turn. Then you're going to start backing out the bolts from your breather, which are this one and this one. Then when all bolts are removed and loosened, rocker arm bolts, just like that, and you'll be able to pop this bad chicken out. just like that. Remove the old gasket. Then you want to remove your push rods. The black one is exhaust, the more wider one is for the intake. Remove your push rod tubes. Alright, so the manual calls for removing the bolts in this sequence right here. For the front and rear are the same ones. We're going to follow this pattern in this order and removing the bolts about a quarter of a turn each. First one. Next one will be down here in the hidden spot right here. Following the third one, which will be up here. Fourth bolt. Fifth one will be right underneath the frame. Then lastly, the last one over here in the bottom frame. Then with all bolts removed, then you just want to simply just may take some persuasion. Just get a rubber mallet, and just like that should come off. Remove the old gasket. So for the rear cylinder head, you're going to want to follow this pattern here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is the same way you're going to loosen and tighten them. Be a good idea to just add some breakaway or PB blaster, whatever you got going on. WD-40 might work too. Let it soak in for a minute. Alright, so remember it's a 12-point bolt, so you need a 12-point socket. Remove a quarter at a time. Second one's right here. Number 3. And number 4. The inside bolts are long and the outside bolts are short. They're more so like threads, so they'll be looking like this. And just like that, the heads will pop off like so. Just like that. Alright, so pretty much once you get to this part, so basically what you want to do is just start pulling upward on the jug here until the piston comes down here. It's like that. Once you got a gap, you just want to put some towels in here. Slowly walk it out. Just like that, your jug will come off. Then once you're here, you're going to want to remove this pin. Careful for it to not shoot out. Then we move our lifter housing right here. You want to clean it up a bit. Now we're replacing our base seal. Pry that off. Then there's going to be a seal right here on this side. Replace our tappet cover right here. Put new gasket in place. Make sure it lines up. Add blue Loctite to your fasteners. Now the torque spec on these are really low, really light. So basically what I'm going to do is after they get tight, I'm going to be tying them about a quarter of a turn. Now you want to put some oil on your rings. Make sure your rings are facing the right direction as supposed to according to your manual. Then we're going to compress our piston. Put some oil in the cylinder walls. Make sure your piston is facing the right way. Alright, so now that you're lined up here with the piston pin and the connecting rod, basically now you're going to push your pin in, put your clip on. Just like that, we got our jug back in. And then you're going to want to install your fresh head gasket on. Make sure the dowels are lined up correctly. Before we install our head, we're going to want to pull our old exhaust gasket out. Just like that. Pop a new one in. Remember, since these are tapered, you want the flat side, this side, flat side in, so that this taper side can be pointing outwards. Just like that, we got a fresh exhaust gasket. Alright, next thing is we're going to want to follow this torque sequence. While following these steps, as the book mentions, essentially you want to start off by tightening the bolt about 10-12 foot-pounds first, then go from 15 to 17. Rotate the bolts 90 degrees or a quarter turn after, so make sure you mark the heads. You want to start on your head. Make sure the dowels are lined correctly. Then you're going to want to put some oil down here where the washers are at, as well as inside the threads. Long ones go inside, short ones right here. Alright, so here's the first round of the torque sequence. Remember to go in order. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then here's the second torque sequence. Again, same pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the book states to rotate it 90 degrees or a quarter of a turn. Should look like something like this. Alright, so now that our base is clean, now we're going to place this O-ring right here. Simply pop it out, put new O-ring in. Now we're going to start our gasket, as well as our lower end. Be sure to put Loctite on your bolts. Alright, so just like I removed it, we're going to be following the same torque sequence in this order. According to the manual, it says to tighten it down at 1/8 turn increments, and the final torque spec being at 10 to 14 foot-pounds following this sequence. Now we're going to install push rods. The darker push rod is exhaust side and the lighter shade is on the intake side. be sure to add your tubes as well. So now we're going to be installing our check valve, or this one-way valve, pretty much same. This little flapper valve, you just want to stick it in here, just like that. Install this little breather filter right here. Add your gasket. Then this one, you want to add your gasket as well, just like that. Add some blue Loctite. Then you're gonna install your rocker arms. All right, so now that we got our rocker arm plate installed, then we tighten these bolts up until 18 to 22 foot-pounds. I set my torque winch at 20 foot-pounds. The book says cross patterns. I'm gonna start with this one. Then you wanna tighten down your breathers plate bolts. Then we're gonna install a cover. See here, I got my gasket in place already. Hand tying our bolts down. So now we're gonna be tying down our cover. We're gonna follow this torque pattern, as well as tightening them down to 15 to 18 inch-pound. Now with the throttle body installed, make sure you got the mounting bolts on either side. There's 2 on this side, 2 on this side. Make sure your sensors are back into place. Your throttles are adjusted. And now we're gonna come on this side and we're gonna basically install our horn assembly. All right, so now we got our horn mounting bracket all installed. One bolt right here, these 2 bolts that bolt onto the head. Your spark plug wire, how it routes up, how it goes in. Put my spark plugs back in, as well as routing my switches. Also, don't forget about your wires back here. Hook them up to your horn. All right, so now we're gonna be adding these little clips in. You can see here, I did one already. Pretty straightforward. You want to make sure the tube is set in there nicely and tug all the way down there, as well as this piece on top. You want to make sure it's all the way bottomed out on top. Once they're both bottomed out from here, then basically, here's the way I'm doing it. There's many ways you can do this. Use a special tool out there too, but I'm just doing it with a screwdriver. Pretty straightforward. You just want to get the angle like that. Pretty much pry it down. Once you see this little gap here, just let it seat in. Make sure it's nice and seated in. And just like that, you're able to continue on with the project. So same thing with the process again. We'll put the locking pliers here. On this side, remove the little hose line over here as well as the clamp. Then we'll be reconnecting it. All right, so now that we got our tank hooked up, be sure to connect it back in here. Connect your fuel hose as well as connect the crossover line. There's gonna be another connection up in here. Connect that one too. So now that I got my fuel tank back installed, I'm gonna install my intake, exhaust, battery, and we're good to go. All right, so since I'm back together now, you can see here, moment of truth. First start after the engine rebuild. It's been about 3 months, I want to say, and as you see here, I'm not leaking at all. Everything's been holding up. Practically an engine rebuild. I only show the rear part, but the same exact procedure for the front part. So if you want to do a complete head engine rebuild or engine rebuild in general, the same thing. All right, so that's gonna conclude today's video. Hope you guys learned something. Be sure to check out my channel if you want to learn about other stuff about my stage 1 handlebars, wheels, whatever you want to learn. So post up on my channel. And as always, be sure to ride safe, like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content. That being said, ride safe.